So I think artificial intelligence is something we've been hearing a lot about. For me, it's been for a really long time, since, really far back when I was in college. I think with Salesforce Einstein, we're finally getting to the point where we can kind of start to see how we can guide customers to more effective self-service and employees to faster, smarter decisions. Um, the exciting thing about this for me is that I think we've typically had people who are looking at their businesses and using their collective, intelligence to try and decide how they can optimize their businesses and what the right competitive steps are moving forward. I think it's interesting. I'm curious around what's going to happen when we have artificial intelligence that's able to look at the data perhaps in a different way and be able to offer some insights that we may not have thought of looking at the data the way we traditionally do. I've had the privilege to work with a lot of different clients over the last, kind of quite a few years. And one that comes to mind specifically is a client I worked with last year, a banking client. And what makes it memorable is the preparation that they put into preparing for their project. So essentially, a lot of forethought in terms of asking questions around what differentiates a successful from a not successful project, and making sure that with the input that they collected, they took steps to do the things that lead to successful projects and make sure that they had the people in their organization available to participate with us. They actively participated with us as a joint team, right? So it was a we situation where the client and us as their partner operated as one team. And when we hit the roadblocks, we really approached them as how can we manage through this to the best possible outcome. And over time, the last thing I'll say is that this client really did view this as a journey where they were refocusing their organization around their client. And they did do the crawl, walk, run. And so they started off with sales with a very, kind of well-defined scope of what that was. And they've subsequently then built upon that to build out their service organization, some capabilities for their employees, et cetera. So I think all of those things together make it memorable because the client really took the time to prepare and maximize the value that they were going to get out of the investment called Salesforce. Okay, so my biggest tips, I think, for folks who are kind of entering the world of Salesforce today to make the most of their investment is really to take the time at the beginning of your journey when you're working with Salesforce, when you're talking with partners, to understand how you can maximize the value of this asset throughout your organization. I would really encourage folks to try to deliver something quickly and incrementally, as opposed to try and spend a lot of time understanding business process at large and trying to get it exactly right. Because chances are, based on my experience, you're going to find out that you're going to deliver something and folks are going to have some great ideas and you're going to continue to iterate on that. My last point, I think, would be is to engage your users, right? Make sure that you have a feedback loop so that as you're doing that incremental change, you have a mechanism through which you can collect feedback from your user community and that you demonstrate to them that you have a mechanism through which you're going to incrementally deliver on their feedback. That will build the trust so that they're willing to be more patient as you collect requirements from them over time. Um, so what I'm most excited about is in my short time here at All Cloud, I recognize that we have a really passionate, strong group of individuals who care deeply about their work and the outcomes that they deliver to our clients. I'm looking forward to expanding the team's capabilities in select growth areas for the company, growing the organization while maintaining a culture that's uniquely All Cloud and having everyone contribute to that. I'm looking forward to operating globally. So having a company that's really growing into the United States is something which is a new challenge for me and an interesting one, and opens up some interesting opportunities. And finally, I think the opportunity to leverage cloud-based technologies more broadly, so not just Salesforce, but across the ecosystem, is something which I think can add some unique value back to our clients as well. So outside of work, I have three children, one in college, two in high school. I love taking walks with my family, with my dogs. We have a big park that kind of sits right in my neighborhood. We enjoy spending time at the beach as a family. I like going running on the trails that they have there. Basically anything that's outside. And then inside, I really enjoy cooking and entertaining family and friends, and really just taking time to relax and enjoy life. Think it is challenging times, right? And how can you use Salesforce to hopefully help in times like this, where for some companies, at least, I think there's a struggle with an increased volume of requests from your customers. And in some instances, having to do that, perhaps when your workforce is being impacted. So I think there's an opportunity and maybe a workload that's being put in place that may have been unanticipated. So is there an opportunity to expand the way that you are doing things today such that you can help people self-serve more efficiently? So is there a way to help, whether it's your employees or your customers, get information they need without having to interact with employees? Is there a way to help your employees service more people, right? Whether it's through different channels, et cetera. So I think that's one area that we can look at. I think the other big challenge that I see coming up right now is really how do we effectively make sure that people feel like they're being communicated to as frequently and with the information that's needed. So that's both employees and customers. So Salesforce as a platform can be used to effectively send out information on a regular basis and keep people apprised of what's going on, kind of within the world, and then more importantly within, kind of the company and the impact that the circumstances that are going on right now are having within, your company, both from your employees' perspective and your customers' perspective.